everyone, this is Lisa Haven, and this is a critical report that I highly recommend you share this one. Now, what I want to do is prove without a shadow of a doubt some of the things that our government is doing right now, because we are at the threshold. The time is almost up on when we can actually act and when they're actually going to have everything literally hit the fan. So what I want to do is delve in to evidence and proof with actual government documentation on civilian inmate labor programs. I'm just going to touch and brief on all these things. The RX-84 FEMA camp internment camps, yes, they exist. Yes, they are real. Yes, there's a document on it. The fact that they target people who are pro-life, people who have Christian views, I'm going to prove that through the right-wing extremist document. I'm going to brief all this because I've done lots of videos on this in the past. In addition, I'm going to prove that our government has bulked up our police departments. They have bought ammunition, gear, all this stuff, getting ready for what? That is the big question for something. How John Kerry recently stated that he wants a borderless world. And what will that bring in? Well, the New World Order. And then I'm going to show you also as well a website that pushes the New World Order and the New World Order agendas. And there's about 4 or 5 different websites that I've covered. This is in addition to that. So lots of stuff on the agenda today. But what I want you to see is for those doubters, for those out there who say they aren't real, these are undeniable proofs. All the links will be below and under the words for more information. And also on my brand new website, www.freedomnationnews.com. Lynn Lees and I have that website together. So check it out, subscribe to that. But all the links are going to be there as well. So I think the best thing to do is let's delve in and prove what's really going on in the government and what they're really doing and planning for the population. And trust me, you're not going to like what you're about to see. Let's delve into that report. So let's start first with the New World Order. I think most people believe that the New World Order is legit. There's just far too many presidents talking about it and far too much information. I'm just going to scratch the surface and focus more on the latter. But the World Policy Forum, here's a website that pushes the globalist agenda. A tribute for world leaders. The World Policy Forum is a forum that brings together former heads of state. This includes things like presidents, dictators, tyrants, the whole 9 yards, and also your leaders of industry and finance, your bankers, your multi-million, billion-dollar rich people, all together in one happy little enchilada bag, so to speak. But it's a forum that brings them all together. And what do? Well, their agenda, as you see highlighted here, is to work towards the establishment of a new and more humane world civilization. Now, I want you to notice, the reason I want to show you this is because I'm going to show you in documents how if you believe in the New World Order, then you are considered a terrorist. Okay, but here in their own words, in our dictators' own words, they're talking about building a new world order. People have stated this hundreds of times. We know Bush have said it, Clinton said it. Many people in history's past have talked about a new world order. And Joe Biden, I believe, said it as well. But here is where they meet annually to discuss solutions to problems facing human civilization, such as the fact that the overpopulation lie. This is one thing they push because they want to tear down and take down the population. But those specifically related to governance, keyword here, of globalization, the governance of globalization. There is a new world order, but it goes on to talk about the world agenda. And it says here that this forum was founded by President Gorbachev, and I'm going to show you who he is in just a moment. But it also is a meeting point and crossroads for cultures and leaders, an open forum for the whole world that through analyst discussion gives guidance and provides new solution to the world's leaders on the path towards a new world civilization. That's the stated agenda and a framework for international order. Let's check out who this president Mikhail Gorbachev is, because that is critical. But lots of information here and lots of other people as multiple heads of state, and we have to make sure we get that captcha there. But former heads of state, here's some of the people. This is the president. We're going to get to his profile in the moment. We have, in a moment, former president of Romania, former president of Poland, of Japan, of Slovakia, and many others. And that's just a quick list. So who is the owner? Is Mikhail Gorbachev, and he was born March 1931, is a former Soviet statesman. He was the 8th and last leader of the Soviet Union. We all know how that turned out, having served as general secretary of the Communist Party. Communist Party. Nothing good comes out of that, in my opinion, of the Soviet Union from 1985 until 1991, when the party was dissolved. He served as the country's head of state from 1988 until its dissolution in 1991. Okay, he is the only general secretary in the history of the Soviet Union to be born after the October Revolution. Well, there you go. He has ties to the Communist Party, and he is one of the heads of state of this World Policy Forum pushing a global governance. Why would a communist member push a global governance? Why? Why? Well, I think there's an agenda there because ultimately it leads to tyranny. Let's just have a quick review, and I know many of you know this, but what is communism? Okay, so let's get into the simple definition here because this is crucial, and I think we need to keep this in the back of our mind. Every country that has attempted communism has failed. It's always 100% of the time led to government corruption, period. That's what it leads to. The other thing it leads to is a poor class. You have a rich ruling class and a very, very poor, lower the standards of living on people. So it's a political theory, obviously derived from Karl Marx, advocating class war and leading to a society in which all property is publicly owned and each person works and is paid according to their abilities and needs. In other words, let's just pay you according to your need, what you need to survive. That's what it's about. Let's not go above and beyond survival. So the bare minimum, so to speak, that is what it leads to. Like clockwork. Now, what is the difference between socialism and communism? Now, I'm going to reference my notes because I just want to get this right to you. But socialism basically says all workers should receive equal share in the profit and the property. Everybody gets the same pay. Everybody shares in the profit and the property. Well, this is a very thin line we're talking against communism. And we have socialist agendas being pushed from Bernie Sanders, President Obama, Hillary Clinton. This is all stuff. Hillary Clinton is a stout communist. That we know for a fact. And communists, on the other hand, says there shouldn't be money or ownership in general. No money, no ownership in general. You have a house, it's not yours. You didn't earn that. You didn't pay for that, to quote Obama, or that business or that job, actually is the way he said it. But he said, communism says, sorry, I got sidetracked, there shouldn't be money or ownership in general, and everybody gets as much as they need, much as you need, just as you need it, and work as much as you can. Long hours, long days, let's everybody work but not get a sufficient pay for it. Just enough to survive the bare minimum. Like Obama has said, that business does not belong to you, right? It belongs to the government. It belongs to the general and your children. Like Melissa stated, Harry Perry, she stated, your children don't belong to you. They should be a community rearing. Well, this is exactly what Common Core is. I'm not going to get into Common Core today. Look up Common Core. Look up some of the generalizations, but it's a community rearing of your children. There's also a document, and let me just show you, that pushes that same idea, and even home visits. Let's go there next. All right, so here is that draft. Now, mind you, this is just a draft, but the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, along with the U.S. Department of Education, is attempting to push this policy through. And we're talking birth to 12th grade here. They want to assign home visits. Let me prove it. Don't take anyone's word for anything. This is on page 13. And I've gone through this entire report in detail before, but right now I just want to hone in on this. To support ongoing relationships, building with family program and schools should conduct periodic home visits so that teachers and families can get to know each other and communicate about your children's goals, strengths, challenges, and progress. Home visits. And they also want to establish or assign basically a social service agent for your family. That is in the playing cards and in the agenda. All right, moving on. So you know where the world is headed. Thus far, I've proved to you the New World Order, which I'm not going to prove that in a whole video, but just a piece of it here today, how they're pushing for the New World Order, how people who are pushing for the New World Order are pushing communist, tyrannical agendas. And what is communism? Well, it means a low class, a low ruling class, and basically the ruling elite. That is what they're pushing. Those are the people in charge at the United Nations, at the World Forum there, at Davos, who has been pushing borderless worlds, not to mention a bunch of other things. I've also prove to you how they have control of our education system, how they want to schedule home visits in your home with Common Core, how they are pushing communism mindsets in the education. Why do they do that? Well, we have communist ruling from the New World Order. They push it in the schools. So communist, New World Order, communism in the schools via the Common Core. Google it, check it out. The purpose of this post is not to talk on that today, but also we have the home visits and how they want to control your life. Now, let's talk about those who are in resistance to the New World Order. What are they going to do to you? What is going to happen? In front of your screen here sits the Civilian Inmate Labor Program document. I've read the whole thing. You can tell this is a very near, fresh date. This does not, and I repeat, does not reference and talk about people in jails. It's not talking about our jail system. It's not talking about an inmate program as far as that is concerned. Now, when you read the document in its entirety, you will see and discover that, and I have a video specifically where I go page by page by page on this document. But what I want to do is just highlight, because I don't want to keep you for 30 minutes. Hopefully that is not the case. But this says basically that the government can use civil inmates who have not committed a particular crime. Everybody in jails have committed major crimes, unless you're innocent. That's a whole nother topic. There's obviously that in the jails as well. But this says those who haven't committed serious crimes, they can be part of this program, and it's unpaid. This is similar to what they do in China, where they have forced labor camps. They force you to work for some punishment or crime that they've done. Let's go straight to that page. Page 5 here, scroll down at the very top. I believe it's here. Inmates are not Department of the Army employees. They don't work for the government. Inmates must not be referred to as employees. They will not be paid from Department of the Army funds, nor receive any personal or private gratuity for their work, accomplishes, or services rendered. Okay, don't plan to get paid by these people. Okay, page 2, let me take you here. I'm kind of scrolling backwards through this section here. Here we go. A civilian inmate labor program, civilian, that's us, program benefits both the Army and correction systems by, how does it benefit them? Well, it provides labor at no direct cost to the Army installations to accomplish tasks that would not otherwise be possible. Provides meaningful work for inmates, and in some cases additional space to alleviate crowdfunding in nearby correction facilities. So notice the distinguish between correction facilities and this particular program. Because obviously they plan on doing a mass roundup of sorts, because otherwise you wouldn't have overcrowding in nearby correction facilities. Moving on to the next document, internment and resettlement operations. I've read all 325 pages, went through this intensely, but it describes internment camps, also known as FEMA camps, RX-84 centers. And I'm going to show you some pretty crazy diagrams in this report. But if you have not read this particular document, I highly recommend it. But let me just highlight a few things on this huge report. All right, here on page 1-2, they show exactly who they plan on detaining. We have resettlements, we have DC or dislocated citizens, refugees, migrants, expellees, internally displaced persons, evacuees, stateless persons, enemy combatants. That would be, I don't know, anybody who goes against them, CIS, RPs, detainees, U.S. military personnel, if they go against them for whatever reason, they have a facility. Now, another thing that I want you to know is this is a very recent report. Scrolling back to the beginning here, February 2010, as you can see. Again, this is not for new prisons or anything like that. This is brand new. This is your FEMA camp document. Moving on to page 1-13, this talks about the United Nations and how they're involved with these FEMA camp on the entire spectrum of humanitarian assistance operation to be involved with reliefs. Typical UN relief agencies establish independent networks to execute their humanitarian relief operations. The UN systems delegates as much as possible to the agency's elements located on the field. Military planners must familiarize themselves with UN objectives. Why does our military have to familiarize themselves with the United Nations and their objectives? New World Order, New World Order. I just want to add that in. New World Order mentality is in all of these documents, by the way. But yet, if you have any if and or buff or talk against them, well, then you are considered a terrorist, my friend. You are a terrorist, unfortunately, though you would probably never commit a crime like that in your entire life. Here's the reasons that I guess some people can go in these camps, including from relief. Okay, I want you to remember this is for relief, right? Because I'm gonna show you the schematics, the plans: chemical, biological, nuclear, high yield, explosive, civil laws or civil uprising operations. Military police provide support to resettlement operations, maintaining facilities, yada yada, enforcing curfews, restricting movements, checking travel permits and registration of cards. This is all stuff that they can do on the facility where, let's check this, let's check that, let's check everything there. All right, scrolling all the way down to about scroll page 261 or J-2 here. Here is the settlement that you're looking at. This is what the jail looks like. And what you're looking at here, these little circles, they represent guard towers. Manned ports here, these bigger ones. And then we have double-lined barbed wire fence and single barbed wire fence and double barbed wire fence. And then we have roads going through it as well. So here we have barbed wire fence, barbed wire fence, barbed wire fence, man tower, man tower, man tower. And this big thick line is your double barbed wire fence. So you have roads, double barbed wire fence, guard towers. Look how many guard towers. This is one of 3 facilities contained in this document. Some of the others are far worse than this one. You can see where they're going to house the people in each one of these, and the storage areas, checking in areas, all here. Interrogation centers, processing, holding centers. What the heck do they need that kind of security for people who are they're claiming for refugees, and they're claiming for dislocated citizens, and they're claiming for stateless person? What? Wow. Agenda? Absolutely. Absolutely. This is your FEMA camp document. But this, mind you, is also for any who go against the New World Order, who go against the administration, who go against their government. Now, they also talk about the use of lethal force in this document. I'm not going to get into that. I don't have the time, but this is one of those. Now, moving on. All right, so here we are on the right-wing extremism document. I've brought this up lots of times, but this was issued by Janet Napolitano back in 2009. But basically, it targets anyone who is a, quote, right-wing extremist. And what do they dub as a right-wing extremist? Well, let's look in this verbiage right here. Right-wing extremism can be divided into groups. And what are some of those hate-oriented groups? It can include individuals that are dedicated to a single issue, such as abortion or immigration, meaning if you are pro-life, or if you are against the herds of people coming in, as John Kerry has recently stated, that they are going to live in a going to live in a borderless state. Well, who else? Well, veterans, returning veterans because of their combat skills can be targeted. Those who purchase weapons or stockpile weapons, or those who stockpile food. Those who also believe that the economy is going to crash. Funny thing is, it is going to crash. Everyone says it, but if we believe in it, we can be considered a right-wing extremist. Those who are anti-Semitic, those are listed as well. In addition, this is probably one of the most shaking or sections that they have, but those who are anti-government conspiracy theorists, those who believe economic collapse, those who have or believe that there is going to one day martial law take place. Keep in mind, when martial law does happen, it will not be under that banner. It won't be under that name. Those who believe that civil strife or conflict is coming, those who hold to the U.S. Constitution or suspension of the Constitution, and the creation of citizen detention camps. I want to just pull my hair out. I just showed you the internment and resettlement document that talks about these internment camps, and the civil labor force document, both of which are legitimate and have been expressed and are real. But who else is considered a right-wing extremist? Well, those who believe in end-time prophecies. Specifically, that's regards to Christian, or again, those who stockpile certain things. Also, those, and this is in another section, who subscribe to the New World Order conspiracy. Again, holy mackerel. You saw this. You saw the heads of state, former presidents pushing a new world order. That's how bad it is. But there's your proof. All these documents are going to be linked below. But let's go on. What else have they done to prepare? Well, the Homeland Security, and this is on ksla.com. This was back in 2012. Mind you, Homeland Security enlists clergy. That is your church leaders, your members, your clergymen, your pastors, to quell public unrest. If martial law is ever, whoops, we're not allowed to say martial law because, hey, you're considered, I just got targeted as a terrorist. And why would they hire our clergymen to work with them? Well, let me think. China, same thing happens in China. That's why you have above ground and underground churches. Moving on. And I've done these reports before. Please don't comment and say, oh, you're just now finding out about this. No, I've known about this for a while, but we cannot suppress it and only talk about it once or twice and never bring it up again. We need to continually bring it up. Otherwise, it will be forgotten. Feds giving military vehicles and equipment to the local PD. I cannot tell you. And this is on progressivetoday.com. There is the link. I don't technically like the name there, but anyway, feds giving military vehicles equipment. Now, let me just say this. I've contacted my own police department. They've beefed up on 3 or 4 different MRAPs and riot gear and night vision goggles. And I've asked them repeatedly, what is all this for? Well, and just in case we need it, better to have it in case we don't. Wink, wink. And there you have it. So they're federalizing our police force in a way, and that as well. Not to mention this from a while back, Forbes.com, 1.6 billion rounds of ammo for Homeland Security. What's it for? What on earth is it for? Excuse that. But 1.6 billion rounds of ammo. Is it time for a national conversation? I say so. Last but not least thing that I want to show you today is this executive order. Countless ones. Please keep that in mind. This is executive order issued by the White House back in 2012. And its sole purpose is to give control over the feds to the feds over our energy, over our transportation, over our water, our health, and even a form of forced labor. Yes, that section is in here. This is Executive Order 13603. But as you can say here, identify requirements for full spectrum of emergencies, including essential military and civilian demand. And this also talks about not only during time of chaos, but during peace times. Peace time. Here we go. During peacetime, in peacetime and times of national emergency, which means it really can be used whenever. He can take control whenever he wants. So there you have it. There is your 100% proof FEMA camps are out there. There's a civilian inmate labor program. They're targeting people who believe in the New World Order and end-time Bible prophecy, all while claiming themselves that these things do indeed exist. Our economy is in shambles. We're on the brink of World War III. We are living in the biblical end time spoken of by Bible prophecy. Things are going to hit the fan. And mind you, there is not much time left. There isn't. If you're not right with God, now's the time to get right with your Creator and just get ready, get prepared. If you're not prepared with food, please do so. Check out my sponsor, foodforliberty.com/haven. If there ever was a time that I encourage everyone to get prepared with food, now is that time. Please, if not them, use someone, pack your own. That's just who I recommend and who I personally use. Also, for your health, please get your health in order. There's a whole nother attack coming from an entire different level, and that is via our health on chemtrails and fluoride in the water and all these things with our health. So please make sure you check out getthetea.com. He's got great products there. The Super Strength Tea, the colostrum, lots of great stuff. And he's got a new line of liquid form vitamins. I highly, highly recommend the Moringa. And it's great as well. I personally love that. It actually helped my eyesight. Anyhow, thanks again for tuning in. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. This is Lisa Haven signing off.